Good morning, everyone. First of all, I, on behalf of Team Vidhi Varta, welcome you all to our expert talk session. We start our new year's with a very special guest, Professor Dr. Parantap Kumar Das, sir. He has been my mentor and guide. He is the author of ISIS, the Black Canopy of Mental Slaughter and Chambal Dacoits, Baggies, and Bandits. Currently, he is Associate Professor in School of Law and Constitutional Studies, Shobhit University, and also a Senior Adjunct Faculty in Sherlock Institute of Forensic Science, India. Previously, he was HOD at School of Law and Legal Affairs in Noida International University. He pursued his PhD from GGSIP University, New Delhi. Dr. Das was chosen by Government of India to serve as a research fellow for doctoral work in Department of Criminology in LNJN, New Delhi. He has been awarded the University Gold Medal as Best Criminologist, and he was awarded the First Class First by BHU, recognizing his academic brilliance. He is a life member of Indian Society of Criminology, also has an association with various organizations.
Such a generous introduction that a person becomes a criminal or a normal citizen. The multicultural theories of criminology believe that there are various factors which are responsible to become a person a delinquent. Now, this is about an overview of the theories and the definition part of the deviance or the delinquency. Now, coming to the life of the Chambal Dacoits, which is very interesting. Now, if you see the Chambal, it is the name of a river, and the ravines of Chambal, it is in the northern part of Madhya Pradesh. The ravines share the border with, on the one hand, with Uttar Pradesh, and on the other side with Rajasthan. This is the Dholpur part of Rajasthan. And in the Uttar Pradesh, it is the Eta, Mainpuri, Chitrakoot, and Jhansi. And if you see the topographical features of the Chambal, it is surrounded by forest, so the mountains, and geographically it is a heaven for the criminals to stay in those places and committed delinquent activities. Now, for the first time in the year 1962, a book has been written on the lives of the Chambal Dacoits, and the author was Professor Tarun Bhaduri. Tarun Bhaduri, I must mention that he is the father-in-law of the famous actor Amitabh Bachchan and Jaya Bhaduri. For the first time, Tarun Bhaduri wrote a book that is a fictional account on the lives of Chambal. When he traveled from Calcutta to Gwalior, he saw the ravines. Perhaps he may interact with a few family members of the Dacoits, and on the basis of that, he wrote that Bengali book, Obishapta Chambal, or the Terror of Chambal. That is the first time something has been documented. After that, two professors, one from Tata Institute of Social Sciences, Dr. Hira Singh, and another professor from Jamia Millia Islamia, Professor M.Z. Khan. They write something about the Dacoits, but precisely they wrote about the Dacoits of the Bundelkhand area. Bundelkhand means the part of Uttar Pradesh. So they wrote about the Bundelkhand Dacoits, and they talked about the factors that are responsible for dacoity, the background, the socioeconomic background of those dacoits, the role of the police and the criminal justice system, the society at that point of time. But for the first time, someone wrote about Chambal Dacoits. We don't find any precisely any author who wrote precisely on the Chambal Dacoits. Precisely means the area of Bhind, Morena, Shiopur, and Gwalior. These are the four districts of Madhya Pradesh, which is highly infested by the dacoit activities. Now, I got an opportunity in the year 2010 to study the changing pattern of crime in Chambal Valley. I got a scholarship from the Ministry of Home Affairs, and that is a part of my research. And because the Ministry of Home Affairs scholarship is little bit prestigious, so the security part has been taken care of by the state government of Madhya Pradesh, and I also got little bit of security because it is a little bit dangerous for a scholar, for a young scholar like me at that point of time, almost 15 years back, to went to the Deviance to talk to the family members, went to the jail and interacted with the surrendered dacoits, and spent some time with those people. During this course of time, I also, as I mentioned earlier, I also interacted with the family members of some of the famous dacoits. Some of the name you may heard or you may listen, like the famous Fulan Devi, then Nirbhay Gujjar, then Man Singh, Mohar Singh, Punjab Singh. I'm just taking the few names, and I interacted with the family members, their relative, with their siblings, with their brothers and sisters, with the society in which they are representing, and everybody is of the opinion that it is the society which is responsible, that this person, people like Fulan Devi or Nirbhay Gujjar or Seema Devi or Punjab Singh, it is a society which is responsible that this person become dacoits. Now here comes the sociological theories of criminology, where I mentioned that it is the society which is responsible for making a person a criminal. And now there is another side of the story. When I interacted with the police officers who was posted at that point of time, or the officer who participated in the anti-dacoity operations, or the police informer, or to the judiciary, representative of the judiciary, they have a different stories to tell. They altogether give me a different perspective of the Chambal dacoits. And what is the perspective? They are of the opinion that every Chambal dacoits has a unique story. It is not like that the society which is responsible, they have a personal vendetta, something happened to their life, and they become delinquent. Now, for example, the Fulan Devi, you have heard the Bahamai massacre. The Bahamai massacre, in which Fulan Devi killed 13 Thakurs. She went to the village and killed all those Thakurs and all this. And the reason behind that Fulan Devi was brutally gang raped. And out of a revenge, she did all that. Now here comes the two side of the story. On the one hand, the Fulan Devi, the notorious bandit, who was gang raped by people from the higher class, brutally gang raped, and then she was taken away by Chaviram. There she was also gang raped in the ravines, and finally, to take the revenge, she became dacoits, and then she killed all those Rajput population. When he talked about the Nirbhay Gujjar, the family members of Nirbhay Gujjar, they are of the opinion that something happened to their family. Nirbhay Gujjar was a very decent person. He went to the police station to lodge a complaint, and unfortunately, the police didn't register an FIR, and Nirvay Gujjar was brutally harassed and humiliated. And finally, to take revenge, Nirvay Gujjar become dacoits. The story is same almost. If you talk the stories of Seema Devi, if we talked about the story of Arvind Gujjar or Punjab Gujjar, Ram Singh, Mohan Singh, Malkhan Singh, the stories are same. But there in the Chambal, they never considered dacoity as an offense. They considered or they recognized dacoity as a symbol of masculinity. Now here comes again a different perspective of the criminological theories. Masculinity means that people should have big mustaches, and the people should carry gun, and if anything happened to them, it is their right that they can commit offenses. Means they are violating the norms of the society, the norms that has been established in the society. These people violate those norms, but they never consider the violation of those norms as a delinquent activity. Rather, they think that this activity is acceptable because it reflects the masculinity of their personality. Now, the rights, if you talked about the rights of those dacoits, they think that their rights has been violated at every stage of their life. Means when they are a normal citizen, the rights has been violated by the head of the village panchayat. After that, when an offense committed against them, their complaint or the grudges has not been listened by the criminal justice system, and again their rights has been violated. When they become dacoits, their rights has been violated, and because of that they become dacoits. And finally, when they surrendered in front of the government authorities, they think that the promises that has been given by the government of Madhya Pradesh and the government of Uttar Pradesh, that has not been followed as per norms. Now, in the year 1971 and 72, precisely during the tenure of the Prime Minister of Indira Gandhi, Jayaprakash Narayan, I hope you heard the name of Jayaprakash Narayan. He's one of the famous nationalist leader, a very famous personality. He undertake a Padyatra from Bihar to UP and MP. And because of his call, many dacoits surrendered with the weapons at their feet. And it has been decided by the government of MP and the government of UP that they will be properly rehabilitated. Mean a proper rehabilitation scheme should be there, in which they should be given land, they should be given certain monetary benefit, they should be given a certain cash, of course weapon license, because they have a threat to their life, and they will be rehabilitated so that they should come to the mainstream of the society. That is the promises that has been given by the government of MP and the government of Uttar Pradesh. Uttar Pradesh at that time and Madhya Pradesh at that point of time, they failed to recognize the promises given to those surrendered dacoits because of various reasons. Of course, caste is one of the factor. Political scenario, of course, another one of the most prominent reason. Because what happened, if you see the central part of India, the Uttar Pradesh and the Madhya Pradesh, here the politics has been dominated by the caste factor. Some are Rajput, some are Bhumihar, some are Brahmin, some are Gujjar, some are Jat, and all of this. So, for example, if the government machinery at that point of time headed by Rajput, and if one Gujjar dacoit surrendered in front of the district magistrate and the SP, the authorities will try not to give any benefit to that Gujjar dacoits because of the caste factor. because you have to acknowledge the fact that the government authorities, the precisely the DM or the SP or the MLA or the minister, they are also human beings and they are also bound by the caste aspirations. So finally, when the promises has been made and that has not been fulfilled, this surrendered dacoits or those dacoits, they again become a little bit delinquent, and they have committed another type of offenses, not dacoity, because then the scenario of jumble ravines has dramatically changed, because dacoity is not a profitable profession at that point of time, because society develops, society grows, and people kept their money and the gold in the bank. Previously, what happened in the 80s or the early 90s, people kept their cash and the gold within their house, and the dacoits came, they looted the house, the gold and the money, and they took away. But when society evolved, when people got little bit enlightened, they kept all their money in the banks or in other financial institutions. Now, the dacoits, they also changed their pattern for the survival. And what they did, they committed another type of offenses. Now, for example, like organized crime, contract killing, political violence, kidnapping and abduction. Kidnapping and abduction is one of the most common patterns that the Chambal Dacoits has followed. Many incidences happened in which people from Haryana, Delhi, Rajasthan, or from Bihar, the people have been kidnapped, the big businessmen have been kidnapped, and they have taken to the Chambal ravines, and there the ransom negotiation has been taken place. So you have to understand the pattern of a Chambal dacoits has been changed. Previously, there is dacoity, and at present there is no dacoity. There are different type of offenses: money laundering, kidnapping and abduction, political violence, contract killing, and all those things. I got an opportunity to interact with Mr. Sher Singh Rana. I give an introduction about Sher Singh Rana. He is the person who is responsible to kill Fulan Devi. I hope you remember that Fulan Devi was murdered when she was an MP from the Samajwadi party, the Mulayam Singh Yadav party. I got an opportunity to interact with Mr. Sher Singh Rana, and she told me that Fulan Devi was not so good as the media or the journalist, all the people portrays of her, because she is a hardcore criminal. She's a hardcore criminal, and she doesn't deserve any recognition, any leniency. I did not ask him precisely the reason why he give all those interesting fact. But one thing which I must mention, that Sher Singh Rana belongs from the Rajput community, the Rajput community, and he hold that grudges against Fulan Devi, who represents the marginalized community, the downtrodden community. Please try to understand that there is a clashes between the higher class of the society and the lower class. This conflict theory of criminology comes into picture here. Secondly, when I interacted with many police officers across UP, people like Vrijlal, who was a former Director General of Police and at present Rajya Sabha MP, Dr. Vikram Singh, who fortunately was my chancellor at Noida International University, and he was a former DGP and served during the tenure of Mayawati, and also got involved with 51 encounter with the Chambal dacoits. And other police officers, when I interacted with them, they also mentioned the fact that the dacoits of Chambal, they have been they become famous because of Bollywood. It is the Bollywood which gives them credibility. It's the Bollywood which gives them a little bit of authenticity. It is the Bollywood which gives them recognition. Otherwise, they are habitual offenders. They are the recidivist. and they are very dangerous. They are a threat to the society. They are a delinquent. They violate all the norms, and they don't deserve any leniency. And whatever stories you have heard from the media or from any research article or from any movies or from any book about Chambal Dacoits where it has been mentioned that they have been tortured, they have been brutalized, they have been oppressed, or they have been suppressed. Uh, it may be true by hardly 5 to 8%. The rest of the story is a figment of imagination. Now coming to the surrendered part of the Chambal Dacoits, because here their rights has been violated, which I must confess, because I went to the different villages of Bhind, then Morena, then Shiopur, and then Gwalior, and spent some time with the family members of those dacoits. And honestly, I must say that. Somehow the commitment made by the state government at that point of time was not fulfilled. I spent almost 3 days with one dacoits, Mohor Singh, in his village in Bhind, and I observed that that house didn't have a proper electricity. They didn't have a pakka house. Pakka house means the house which is built on the cement and all this. They have a hut, and they do not have any electricity. They do not have any oven, and the smaller children of their family members, they didn't get an opportunity to go to the school. And when I see the government records, when I see the government records of the rehabilitation package that has been given to those dacoits, it completely makes me very surprised, because of the fact that the government promised that 15 bighas of land will be given to them, 10 lakhs of cash, weapon license, fertilizer, seeds, everything has been documented, everything has been mentioned in the rehabilitation package. But unfortunately, at a ground level, at a theoretical level, at a level which you can check and cross check from the ground, that is not true, because they didn't get any land, they didn't get any money, and they didn't get any fertilizer, any seeds, and what they received was a threat to their life, and a humiliation. When I interacted with the relative of Mohor Singh, they told me an interesting fact. वो कहते हैं कि साहब, जब दादाजी जब डाकू थे तब बहुत अच्छे थे, तब हमारे पास बहुत पैसा था, लोग हमसे डरते थे, हमें नमस्ते करते थे, बिकॉज हियर इन द चंबल नमस्ते करना आपको थोड़ा सा अच्छा माना जाता है, अगर आपको बड़ा मुस्टैच हो, गन्स हो, एंड ऑल दिस, so you have been respected and recognized in the society. But when my dadaji surrendered in front of the government authorities, life has completely changed for us, because what we believe didn't come true, and now people humiliated us, people insulted us, और इवन वी डू नॉट गेट एनी जॉब्स ऑल्सो, बिकॉज लोगों को जब पता चल जाता है दैट वी आर somehow related to Mohor Singh, or we are related to Man Singh, or we represented the family members of the Dacoit family, we didn't get any job. The banks didn't give us money, and even we do not have that much education where we can go outside and do some sort of jobs. And here I observed that the rights of those family members of those dacoits has been violated, and this is very unfortunate. I try to cross-check the facts from the different government department, and I really found it very shocking, in the sense that the government record shows that land has been transferred, money has been transferred to their bank accounts, but it has not been received by them. You know what happened? these dacoits or the family members of those dacoits, they are not educated. They do not have an understanding, they do not have a very good legal understanding, or they do not properly understand the rehabilitation package of the government. Here comes the role of the middleman. The middleman basically are those people who act as a bridge between the dacoits and the government functionaries. Now, these middlemen are very corrupt. This middleman may be some people from the village, or this middleman may be a clerical staff from the government department, or this middleman may be a police informer, or the middleman may be an NGO social activist. Now, this middleman, what they did, because of the ignorance of the family members of the Chambal Dacoits, they grabs all the money and the land, because what I mentioned, that these people do not have the legal understanding of the rehabilitation package, and somehow or other, because taking the advantage of their literacy, they hijack the entire compensation package that has been entitled to the dacoits or to the family members of those dacoits. And here I observed that there is a gross violation of the rights of those dacoits who are surrendered. Fortunately or unfortunately, I tried to mention those facts in my chapters when I write my thesis and later the book. But I was told, because I was getting a scholarship from the government, I was told not to put these type of facts in the public domain. At present, after 15 years, I can speak on that, because it's a long time. The government has changed. Some of the people may not dare, but I think that Shomi gives me a right opportunity and right forum to speak some of the facts which is not there in my book, or which is not mentioned in my thesis. Now, coming to another aspect of the encounter, the police encounter. I hope you have all know about the extra jurisdictional killing by the law enforcement agency. And I found another interesting aspect. The criminal justice system always mentioned the fact that the encounter has been done out of self-defense, irrespective of the police officers of Madhya Pradesh and Uttar Pradesh. And I also saw a few post-mortem report of the dacoits from the government department. I also saw the file of some of the encounter as a part of my research. And one thing I must say with conviction, that most of the encounter, in my opinion, didn't look genuine. I'm not saying that they're completely fake, but maybe there is a possibility, or there is a chance that those encounters can be avoided. When I read a few books written by one journalist who at present is a professor of Indian Institute of Mass Communication, IIMC at Delhi, Professor Rakesh Goswami. There he talked about the encounter of notorious dacoits Nirbhay Gujjar. He gave a very gloom picture about Nirbhay. He's very notorious, and he tortured his victims like anything. And he didn't use mobile because and the people find the police find lots of difficulties in tracing him. And Nirbhay Gujjar was very clever. He didn't use any type of electronic gadgets which help the police for surveillance and all this. And finally, the police of Chitrakoot, one fine day, they killed Nirbhay Gujjar. But the interesting part is that in the file, when I read that file, I didn't find any incident or anything which mentioned that how the law enforcement agency got the news about the presence of Nirbhay Gujjar at that point of time. Number two, how the police officers didn't attempt or didn't try to give a chance to Nirbhay Gujjar for a surrender, and why the police make such a very dangerous story about Nirbhay Gujjar. Of course, every criminal, I must say that every criminal is dangerous. They are a threat to the society. But what I believe as an academician, as a professor, that every delinquent individual must got a chance for reformation. Because if you see the theories of punishment, there are four theories. There is a retributive theory, there is deterrent theory, there is reformative theory, and and finally there is rehabilitative theory. Now, in retribution, what happened? Retribution means that eye for an eye, nose for a nose, tongue for a tongue. That is a very barbaric form of punishment, and which is prevalent in the ancient part of the ancient time. In the deterrent form of punishment, what happened? The deterrent form of punishment means a punishment should be given so that the people got panicked, people got feared, and they will not commit those offenses. It is still prevalent in some of the Gulf countries, the deterrent form of punishment. And finally, in the 21st century, on the later part of the 21st century, we talked about the reformative form of punishment or the rehabilitative form of punishment, where it has been strongly believed that every person, irrespective of their crime or irrespective of the gravity of offenses, they should get an opportunity for reformation and rehabilitation. And I think that everybody should accept the fact that there may be certain reasons for a person to become a criminal. It is not like that कि माँ के पेट से कोई भी निकल के अपराधी बन जाता है. It is not like that. Of course, there may be certain situations, there may be certain circumstances, there may be certain factors which is responsible to become a person criminal, and every person deserves a chance that they should be a part of the mainstream of the society after getting proper counseling or after getting the form of punishment that they deserve because of their delinquent activities. So my interaction with Sher Singh Rana, who killed Fulan Devi, or my interaction with the police officers who are a part of the anti-dacoity operations, and many judicial officers who is a part of that judicial proceedings of the dacoits, both convicted and surrendered, I observed one thing, that they many of them, I do not say all of them, but many of them don't believe this aspect of punishment, the reformation and the rehabilitation part, which is a little bit, I must say, disappointing. As an academician, as a scholar, it is a little bit disappointing, because that is the trend which we must follow. Another thing about Chambal Dacoits, which is very pertinent to discuss at this point of time, about the socio-economic factors and the positive reasons that are responsible for them to become the dacoits. The socio-economic factors means that in what strata of society they belonged from. Means the economical background or the social background or the place where they stay. This is very important to understand about that why they commit those type of offenses. ऐसा तो नहीं है कि हर गरीब आदमी, हर सताए हुए आदमी अपराधी बन जाता है, डाकू बन जाता है. It is not like that. There are many poor persons whom we come across in our daily life. They live a very normal they live a very normal life. They never commit any type of offenses. But why those people? Why people like Nirbhay? Why people like Fulan? Why people like Arvind? They become dacoits. Now the socio-economic factors are very important to understand. As I mentioned, that when I went to their villages, when I went to their houses, when I went to interact with those members, their socio-economic background is not so sound economically and financially. They are not very sound, and the society which they represent, they have been victimized from inception. Inception means their family member or their parents or their brothers and sisters, they have been humiliated. Then humiliation is one of the aspect for those persons to become dacoits. And humiliation on what basis? Humiliation on the basis of caste, humiliation on the basis of their social status, humiliation on the basis of their economic condition, and sometimes the girls of the family, they have also been raped by the members of another community, and when they didn't get justice from the criminal justice system, they took revenge because the modesty of the woman has been violated. So what I'm trying to say, that the socioeconomic factors is very important to understand, to have a proper orientation, or to have a proper understanding that why those people become dacoits. The role of the criminal justice system is also very important to understand, because when I talk to those people, talk to those dacoits precisely, everyone gives me a very common response. They told me that कि साहब अगर दरोगा जी ने अगर मेरी बात सुन लेता तो शायद मैं ऐसा नहीं बनता. Is what they're trying to say, that if whenever I went to the police station, if the Kaptan Sab or if the SHO heard my grievances and took remedial measure, perhaps I should not become a dacoits. Means somehow or other there is a failure of the criminal justice system, and because of the failure of the criminal justice system, or because of the lack of action by the law enforcement agency, these persons become dacoits. Another thing which is very important to discuss about the role of media and the NGO, because media also played a very pivotal role to give to portray the real picture what is there on the ground. But sometimes media also has been biased on the basis of different factors, on the basis of caste, on the basis of political patronage, on the basis of fear, and maybe there are other factors also. I talked to a few media people, the media personnel, both print media and electronic media, and they are of the opinion that sahab, sometimes we are not able to give you the real picture, because if you give the real story of the event, either the dacoits become annoyed on us, or the law enforcement agency or the criminal justice system become annoyed on us. So we have to give a very balanced approach. So when I ask them that it means that if you give a half truth, half false type stories, well, that is a fact. And the same thing, I try to relate this conversation with my conversation with Sher Singh Rana, who killed Fulan Devi. He also told me the same thing, कि फुलन देवी उतने भी अच्छे नहीं है जितना आप अच्छा समझते हैं. तो हम अच्छा या बुरा कैसे समझते हैं? Because whatever information or whatever news we have received, it is because of the media, either from the print or the electronic. Because many of us didn't get an opportunity to go to the Chambal Dacoits and talk to the dacoits. Whatever information we have, either we get it from different sources. And who are these sources? Either the journalist or the researcher, or people like us who wrote something on those issues. So this is one thing which is a little bit unfortunate, which is a little bit demoralizing for me, because again as an academician, we believe that everything should be placed in black and white, because the next generation should have the right to know what is fact and what is fiction. We should not give any information or anything documented which is not true 100%, because of what happened. See, uh, if you give any fact which do not have any historical evidence, or which is not factually correct, or which is not supported by any government documents, or which is not valid, somehow or other we do injustice with our future generation, because the future generation never became aware that what is exactly the problem of Chambal Dacoits, how their rights has been violated, why this person become Dacoits, why only the northern part of Madhya Pradesh victimized by this banditry, why people from northern part of Madhya Pradesh has also been referred as Chambal की डाकू अभी भी है, अभी भी अगर आप भिंड है, अगर आप मुरैना से है, अगर आप कोई अगर आपके पास आएगा, सबसे पहले यही सवाल पूछा जाता, अच्छा आप उसी क्षेत्र से हैं जहां से चंबल की डाकू है. Somehow or other your name has been associated with the evil or with the social injustices that is prevalent in the society. And I think it is because of the fact, because we always get the half cooked information from various sources, and which is not good for the development of a society.
Thank you, sir. I think such topics we don't regularly discuss, and very few authors are there who are discussing about um, dacoits or the lives of dacoits, or situations of their places where they come from, and their reasons for what atrocities they committed. So, firstly, thank you for writing such on such good topics. How do you look at the various atrocities that these dacoits had committed on the local people? And do you think that when the police said that they encountered many people, many dacoits because they deserved it, um, both are complementary to each other, or both the dacoits deserve for what they had done to the local people?
The first question, what I understand, is the atrocities committed by the dacoits on the common man. It is absolutely correct that some of the dacoits did very heinous offenses against normal villagers or against common man. But again, one thing I must mention, that they did all those heinous activities on those villagers which in which caste they do not belong. Now, for example, if there is a Malha gang, they didn't oppress or they didn't torture the people from their community. Rather, they try to torture or oppress the people from other community. For example, the Rajput community or the Baniya community or the Pandit community, something like that. So here, what we observed, that they have a very solid understanding of the caste societal structure of them. There are exceptions in which the dacoits of their own community, they oppress or they torture the people of their community, but that is an exception. It is because of the fact that some of them become police informer, or some of them leak certain news to the police. Because of that, they have been tortured. Or rather, I must say that the dacoits are very conscious about their caste structure, and they usually avoid to oppress the people of their community. Now, the second part of your question about the police encounter, as I mentioned, that I'm not saying that all the encounters are fake. What I'm trying to say is that the law enforcement agency has a very pivotal role to play, to believe in the reformation and the rehabilitation aspect of punishment. Encounter should be the last resort of giving justice. Personally, I do not believe in encounter, but maybe, as because I am not on the ground at that point of time, there may be situation, there may be circumstances in which encounter may be the last resort. But personally, I strongly believe that every dacoits, irrespective of the gravity of offenses, they should get an opportunity for reformation and finally
That
rehabilitation.
do you think that for the dacoits to become what they became in their life as dacoits, um, police were one of the grave driving factors for their deviance?
A majority of the dacoits whom I interacted, even their family members, even their relatives, even their sons and daughters, everyone is of the same opinion that it is because of the failure of the law enforcement agency. It is because of the failure of the criminal justice system that their father or their grandfather or their baba become dacoits. The thing is very simple, that if any offenses are committed in a small village or in a small hamlet, and if the affected person went to the police station to lodge a complaint, it is the duty of the law enforcement agency to register an FIR and do the necessary investigation and all this. But you know what happened in the ravines of Chambal? The police outpost located almost 50 kilometer or 100 kilometer from the place of occurrence. And the police officials, they try to ignore to register an FIR, because when they register an FIR, they have to do the investigation and all this.
Yes.
So what they did is that they try to convince the people that चलो कोई बात नहीं, हम देख लेंगे, ठीक है, रेप हुआ है, बलात्कार हुआ है, चलो हम सुलह करवा देंगे, we do some sort of a compromise. Now these poor people, as I mentioned, that they are not so educated, they are not very literate. So the first point of interaction with the law enforcement agency, and when they didn't get any justice from the first point of contact of the criminal justice system, they think that they should do justice for the family with their own hand. And finally, they fled to the ravines, they become bandits, they become dacoits, and they took the revenge. And finally, once they killed an individual, it becomes a part of their habit, and they become the
That's
habitual
true.
offender, and they become habitual offender.
I want to ask you that how did media coverage influence the public perception of Chambal dacoits, specifically in the case of Fulan Devi? Or, as you mentioned, that you have met the families of dacoits and shared that a family member of a Gujjar dacoit, I think, said they were very happy during that time. So, do you think that even though their actions were illegal, the people of that region don't necessarily consider them as the wrongdoers?
It's a very good question, Diksha. Now, take the example of Fulan Devi, as you have mentioned. Now,
Yeah.
Fulan Devi belongs from a very lower strata of society. And if you remember that she got the patronage of then Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh, Mulayam Singh Yadav. Mulayam Singh Yadav also gave her the ticket, and she won the election, and she became a member of parliament. Now, the role of media that you have pointed, it plays a very pivotal role in the life of Fulan Devi, in the sense that both the print and the electronic media, they always try to portray Fulham as a victimized woman who have been gang raped by the people of the higher class of the society, and she took revenge. Then finally she surrendered, and the political power, they gave her the ticket, and she became a member of her parliament. This is one aspect of the story which the media always portray. I am not contradicting whether it is true or false, because that is there in the public domain. A person has a right to assess their authenticity. What I'm trying to say is that the person who have been massacred by Fulan Devi in the Bahamai massacre, whether those 11 or 13 persons, they all are equally responsible for the gang rape of Fulan Devi, that is a question we must think about.
Media plays a very important role, because there has been movies also made on Fulan Devi trying to portray that she's a victim of the society and the system and the corrupt system, and that has generated all the narrative around Fulan Devi and the all the sympathy that she has got during her election.